intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
All right, everybody, we are joined by Zap and Stoo. These are two of the leaders who I can guarantee are better at alliance tournament knowledge than I am, because their alliances are 100% active and mastering both the league and alliance tournaments. So welcome both of you. We'll start with Zap. Tell everybody where you're from, who you are.
Hey, I'm Gold Zap from Server 49. My alliance is Cerberus or CERB from from here in the U.S. and St. Louis. So,
And Stoo, tell them about you.
Hey guys, and so thanks for having me here today. So yeah, I'm Stoo, also known as Gun Pirate Stoo. I'm part of IRS Death and Taxes, and I'm based in the UK. And we've got a lot of members that are based from all around Europe, and we've got a couple of guys in the US as well. So we've got a big mix. So yeah, that's pretty much us in a nutshell.
I do have to ask though, Stoo. Me and Zap, we're from America. How the heck did you in the UK end up with the IRS and Death and Taxes? That feels like that would be our alliance names and stuff. Why did you steal it? That is just...
Well, that's stealing's pretty much what we specialize in. So whether it's OPC or stations.
Now, are you saying that's what your alliance specializes in, or is that because you're British? Which one?
Well, a bit of both. It must be in the genes. Yeah. So we were originally RPG, the Royal Pirate Guns, and we merged with an alliance called Tax, which was the Ferengi Tax cohort, which was led by Admiral Captain Gemway. So we looked at the tournaments and we did the first qualifying rounds, and we came out at 12th in RPG, and Tax, I believe, came in at 20th. And we'd actually been at odds a little bit in the past between the two alliances, but we kind of looked at it and we were like, hey, congrats, you guys have done great. We both ended up in the top 1%, and we were like, what about if we were to join forces and try and take this to the next level? And they've molded over a little bit, and that's kind of what happened. It all happened quite quickly, actually, within like a week. So we brought Gemway over, and she co-admirals with me, and then we've got our amazing Commodore team, which is FX, Marinko, Demos, Gumman, My Hot Stream, Plato, and the meme master Dr. Vulcan. So we ended up with quite an eclectic mix between the two of us.
What about you, Zap? Y'all got a similar background with the alliance? I'm sure you've got to have a great team of Commodores to be able to pull off this whole 100% tournament thing. But tell me a little bit about y'all.
So we came out of 3 big alliances in Server 49 a little bit more than a year ago. We Tex, who at the time had been one of the #1 alliances always on Server 49. They were #2 at the time. And then we had Hawk and Wick, who were bouncing around somewhere in that 4 to 6 on the alliance, power wise, and everyone was always, okay, top 5, we're in the top 6 on ALB, but we're like, how do we get to #1? How do we get there? And so we allies, we're talking, and 2-3 months later, well, here we are taking a third of each alliance, bringing it in, and getting the most active players we can. It wasn't. I remember looking at something and going, well, this guy's a level 50. But no, hey, this guy is our level 42 free-to-play guy who is like top 5 in every server leaderboard he's on. He has to be.
I'm here. You're choosing a hardcore grinding free-to-play over a potential spender? Okay.
Yeah,
we
sounds like a lot of tough conversations though, and this is the part of alliance stuff that I think a lot of people are scared to get into. Because naturally you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You've had somebody who's maybe been around 6 months, 8 months, a year, but I mean, if you are striving for these high-end activity rates, I mean, some people are more casual, which is completely okay. But if you have somebody, like you say, even if they're like a level 42 who are hardcore grinders, that's very valuable for something like alliance tournaments.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy. I could show you a screenshot for old Discord where a guy went on for 3 pages just calling us every name under the book because he's like, well, I'm out. I'm like, well, you weren't necessarily out, but after all that, I don't think that's the type of attitude we want in this new venture.
Yeah, we did it slightly differently. So we addressed the RPG at the time, and we said, look, we this is kind of where we want to go. We want to go into, winning more of these alliance events, and with the great rewards that are on offer with the alliance tournament, we really want to push for this and get everybody good rewards. Now now you've come to like a crossroads with which type of style of play you want to do. If you want to be something more casual, you're not really too bothered about chasing the big prizes, you want to go at your own pace, that's cool. We still had the old alliance intact, so that you can go there, you'll be allied to us, and you won't get any trouble from us, and if you need help, we can help you, but you won't have the additional pressure of being chased for tasks if you've not scored and that type of thing. Or if you do want that and you want to take your game to the next level, and we can do this collectively, then you would come into IRS and let's have that activity, and we can all collectively win the big stuff and save a bunch of money. I mean, that's the big thing for us, especially we got a lot of free to play guys at various levels that are now we've got a numerous G6 free to play guys now that came into the tournaments G5 and was able to obtain things such as the efficiencies to be able to get their research, and the prime critical strikes to help them do more damage in the incursions and this type of thing. And then as an example of one of the players we have an Ops 35 called Pony, and she's super active, like incredibly active, quite happy to sit back and stay at a lower level, win all the SLBs, and she's hammering out some big tasks, and the last one she scored over 80,000 points, and she was doing that with the 8k Borg solo armadas, the grind tasks such as going into shooting swarms, those horrible looking grind tasks that take a long time. She's out there, she's doing that, she's grinding, and she's getting some big points, and because of that she's been able to then get more of the cool stuff, and that's across the board. I mean, just going on the lower end of the example of a G3 player, it's a similar thing for the G4 and the G5 as well, and some of our biggest scorers are actually in the G5 bracket, which is great to see.
Zap, so let me move over to you. So we're going to hit this from a few different layers. We're going to talk about, tracking activity from a Commodore Admiral perspective. We'll save that a little bit towards the end, but let's start with player engagement. So what do y'all do, Zap, to get not only people engaged, to get them to understand and get them to enjoy the rewards, but also to enjoy the process? What's some of y'all's tips and tricks?
A lot of it just comes down to communication. I mean, we've got a great group of Commodores. I mean, we've got 15 Commodores out of 103 players, because that's mostly because of our merger, bring leadership together from all three entities. But that gives us 15 guys to spread the word. And I can't talk enough about guys in our alliance like RG, D's, our Spit and Chicklets, who are on there setting up town halls and like, okay, we got the tournament, we're a day in, what can we do to help? Where do you need help to make this happen? It's not you need to do this. I mean, there is some of that, but it's the help, and so it's gotten to the point where that trickles down, where now you're in the tournament and our non-leadership guys are expressing leadership, like, this is up, this task is up, just feeding it and getting excited about it and pushing forward.
That brings up a good point, and something I know a lot of other people struggle with, because another thing that I find when I talk to a lot of players is Alliance tournaments too often is viewed as an individual endeavor, as in my reroll task to get this event, and if I don't have my event, I wasted all my rerolls, and now I can't do anything. So first we'll go Zap, then we'll go Stu. How do y'all handle that? Like, if, for example, you've got 10 players all wanting to get that, coveted Borg Armada one that's 10K, it's a free to play, you can have that redeem, and you might only be able to do it twice during a tournament, but you have to schedule it. Like, who's gonna be able to grab it? Who's gonna be able to do it now? How do y'all handle that, Zap? And then we'll get Stu's version.
I think for us, it's more of a first come, first served basis, but it's knowing that it's out there. Guys that can't handle it saying, okay, it's up, and someone's gonna grab it, and it's okay. I know and I watch for that stuff. I know others do too, where we're saving our stuff just for the Alliance tournament to be able to grab tasks like that, be able, and some of the grab, board credits, so you're not doing your polls on the refinery. And so we're saving for it, and we're grabbing them as quick as possible and knocking them out. and then communicating still when they're there.
What about y'all? So same way, is it more of a first come, first serve, but it's really just incumbent on you to communicate, hey, this is up, I'm not doing it right now, but somebody needs to grab it? Or do y'all have a system, hey, we know these players are ready, bang, 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 bang? Or y'all getting together to do the re-rolls?
Yeah, so for us, it's like the two most common tasks that everyone wants is the acquire 500 Epic Borg or Dominion directives. And of course, it's one that doesn't always appear very often. So we've got a lot of guys now that have moved from G5 into G6, and I do feel that for the G6 players, the tournament is a lot easier. You can use the acquired materials task, so you can use the choice, and the choice reward has been golden to help with that, especially as well now with the bonus refinery token. So with that and the growth that we've had from the tournaments, we've got less players now fighting for those coveted tasks. So now we find a lot of our G6 players are shouting up when that's in the store. So when they go into the task, they're like, oh, Epic Borg's up, Epic Dom's up. And some of the guys get a bit frustrated because it goes super fast. So we shared a lot of content and information from other creators and some great guides that are out there about some of the tasks that you can do, how you can do them, and alternatives to getting those 10k tasks, or even some of the 8k tasks or 5k tasks, so they can still get the credits. And it's increased the knowledge across the player base so that they can still score quite high.
So a big thing was, especially as you get G6 players moving up, just educating them on more of the tasks they can do free to play. Because like you said, choice rewards has been huge. That allows you to do the crystal or gas tasks that previously were designed to be, obviously you buy a pack to get that done. Well, now you can do that with your choice tokens that you've got saved up, assuming Scopely doesn't run tournaments randomly when your choice tokens aren't available anymore, which they did once already. But yeah, your point being, organizing. I'm very curious. Rerolls, though, do y'all coordinate rerolls? Because I know, and I've tried to teach this out, it's a snowball effect. Because the more tasks you complete, especially those 10Ks, you're going to have 100, 200,000 of those rerolls stockpiled. But that only works if the rest of your alliance is kind of in conjunction. If you are running it as a solo player, I found you're just going to run out constantly. Because you're just sitting there when you're doing things, you look for your stuff, you don't find it, you're out. Zap, do y'all do anything coordinated for rerolls, or is it more just because there's such good communication, you're naturally using less of them?
I think that we're using less of them, but then I do see, in our alliance chat where we'll be like, hey, stop rerolling these tasks. I can do those. So someone speaks up when they're saying, like, this is disappearing. I can do it. Stop doing it. It's going to pop up again.
And Stu, kind of same for y'all, or do y'all have, hey, we know that we got 30 people online right now. Stop re-rolling. Like, nobody re-roll. Let's see if we can get these tasks sorted, and then we'll see what pops up. Because there's also, for those that don't know with Alliance tournaments, there are certain tasks that people can hold, and if people are holding them, they will not respawn. So having those coordinations, you could re-roll 100,000, and if a certain number, depending on what that task is, are sitting with that task, you're not going to get it to appear again. So how do y'all kind of focus? Is it similar to what Zap and them are doing?
I'd like to say that, but with 102 players, it can be chaos, right? So generally after the tournaments have reset, guys are online, or when they're coming home from work, a lot of the guys and girls are online. So we've got a few sort of hours where it's just chaos, and people, be shouting to stop re-rolling, or, please, I'm looking for this task. But of course, they're probably sat in the screen where the tasks are, not being able to see Alliance chat if they're on a phone or, a tablet or something. So they're not going to see it. So over time, numerous of the players now have kind of found windows where it's a little bit quieter. Like for myself, I will do my tasks as late at night as possible because I've got a bit more time to be able to re-roll it and catch some of those tasks. But like I said before, because we've got guys that are shouting up when tasks are available, we are getting some people who are fast at getting some of those where they probably wasn't before because they'd already gone. And of course, a lot of the G6 players now, especially with their choice rewards, are getting those 10k tasks with the materials. So we will spend a lot of re-rolls on if the team shout up and say, look, can we get some re-rolls? I'm running out. I will quite happily sit there and re-roll as many tasks as possible to try and help them get what they want or something similar.
All right. I want to kind of move still on task, but Zap, Stu talked a little bit ago about having lower level members who do like those 8K tasks. Now, I've been very loud that I hate them simply from the perspective of Scopely, if they're going to give us tasks, should pay out the credits for the store on all tasks. If I grind a task, that should have the same value as a spin task that maybe we can do free to play, but clearly was designed to be spent on. Well, those obviously pay out a lot, and the ones they purposely made is like, go kill this hostile, they don't have those rewards. However, if you are an alliance trying to score as high as possible, which there are benefits, more Emerald Chain, which is more rewards there. Obviously, you're going to get more of the actual store currency from your alliance winning Masters League. But for those lower than 10K tasks, Zap, how do you get people to engage in those? And how much do you see of your guys and gals doing those versus everybody trying to slam in that group 3, those 10K tasks, where only 3 are going to be up at any given time?
Yeah, we do see a lot of that. I mean, we do have a good range of players that are still, in G4. We've got our G5 players. I miss some of those lower tasks. I miss being able to drop my pickle ship out in Texas space and forget about it and take care of a task. I can't. It's not worth that anymore now. I'm in G6. So there is still a lot of advantage to doing those tasks and I'm knocked out and helping the alliance, because at the end of the day, yeah, you're not getting as much credit, and that's a shame. That needs to be fixed. But you're still getting those 10,000, 11,000 credits at the end of the 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, and Stu assumes, again, you called out a 35, which I think is great. It actually puts pressure on me because I know on my level 30 account, I'm focusing on like the Swarm task, the Borg Probe task, the Herogen task, which that one's truly annoying because I don't feel like Scopely understands how difficult finding Herogen is when you're a G3 player, because you have like 3 that'll spawn in a system set, and once you kill them, you've got to either wipe out the rest of the system or wait for them to respawn. But there are those there, and the more you participate, the higher you end up ranking. In fact, I was very proud of mine. I can't brag like y'all can about being 100% participation, but on 710, that's a very new server. It's under a year old, but we just went up to Expert League. So doing that as a mostly G3 alliance relies on you doing all of those small tasks. I mean, you're not going to be able to pull a lot of those 10K tasks, but it is something that, if you can get your group to do it, and that's hopefully one of the things I hope people who watch this get, is all of your effort, even if you're level 35 free to play, is not in vain. It is not futile. If everybody works together as a group, it can be quite valuable. And Stu, you have seen a lot of that, right?
Yeah, I have, for sure. Especially around the Armada tasks as well. You'll see a lot of the guys doing, rare formation Armadas, the standard uncommon formation Armadas, and you see people jumping in on it. So some of the guys, if they don't have much time, they'll say, look, I need to defeat 3 rare Armadas. Can someone run some for me? And the beauty is because, having a big team just to win the tournaments, you also win a lot of the alliance events, so you're getting a lot of free stuff to players. So we always push like a share the treasure rule with the team. So anyone who shouts it for help and you can get it, and I don't mind running a load of armadas for people if it'll help. I mean, for us, it's we always push like every point counts, and some of the times when we've been chasing the global leaderboards, it's been so close, within 20,000-30,000 points. So we're happy as long as somebody can put some points up on the board, it counts. Whereas we don't try and push everybody to try and do 150,000 points. It's always do what you can, but please do something, and if you're struggling, we'll help you do something or help you maximize what you can do, because there's a lot of players that still don't know what's available to them, or they don't know their own strength, and especially with the Emerald Chain bonuses that get added on for winning the tournaments, their ships are a lot stronger than what they were before, and it's like, well, actually you can do these, or maybe you can change some of your crews around and you can now do these, and you can punch up and score even higher on those grind tasks. But I agree with you that I do think that those grind tasks require a lot of time, and they should pay out more, especially for the time that's invested.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Emerald Chain. I feel like that is easy to lose sight of because of all the other things that go on with tournaments. But one good example I love to throw to free to play is it's easy to see in the store your primes, and we all know that we want free primes, and am thankful to Scopely. We're at I think about 70% of all primes in the game are now free to play, which still not 100%, but y'all two have been around long enough. Just 2 years ago, it wasn't even half that. So it definitely progress made. But beyond just primes, things that are valuable, I love the Columbia skin. I think it's Emerald Chain 18 you have to get there, but that doubles the amount of Voyager officer payouts that you get in the X-Borg store. And you might think, well, is that really big of a deal? I mean, that'll jump it up to getting 20 plus shards a day, like total number of officers. And, you know, especially if it's a lower level, that Neelix, that B'Elanna Torres, that Harry Kim below decks, it's super valuable. And as a G3 player, does it have as much value to you versus G6? Yes, it actually maybe has more value if you can start working on having that. As soon as you get to those levels, you're ready to collect it, you know, because the X-Borg obviously starting at 38. So another thing, I think knowledge, y'all talking about spreading the knowledge, but a big key, how do y'all make it fun? I mean, all of this we've talked about is being efficient, but it still work. But y'all have got to find a way, clearly, to have 100 plus people doing it 4 or 5 days in a row. They're clearly enjoying the process. Zap, from your experience, how is that happening? Like, why is it fun for them?
I think it's just an overall environment that we've created in CERB. Here's the best example I can give that in the team building we've done over the last year. This past tournament, we had 2 players that, a husband and wife, that were taking a break from the game. They were frustrated, you know, like we all get. They were taking a break. They came back. They did task for the tournament. They scored points. And the day the tournament ended, they both announced they were quitting the game. So for them, it wasn't about the game. It became about the people. It was about our people.
Yeah.
And they weren't let the other 101 people in the alliance down by just throwing out and say, yeah, we're done. We're not going to score any points. No, they chose to come and score points, even though 24 hours after it ended, they were done. So it's just an environment that we've created over the last year.
Can you give some example? I mean, do y'all do, I'm assuming the answer is yes, but just open-ended for everybody who's listening. What do y'all do that kind of create that environment? Is it, you know, just getting together in Discord, doing calls together, having random drunken Friday nights? Do y'all do D&D together? What do y'all do to help make that environment? Hey, y'all said you were nerds. I'm going to throw you nerdy bones. I mean,
I'm more of a Magic guy than a D&D, so
fair.
But anyway, no, but no, it's you know, there's just that positivity. We've ruled out a lot of, you know, when we were forming, it's just like, okay, we got this guy. Yeah, he's a level 54. Yeah, but do we want that amount of drama? Do we want that amount of, you know, most of us have been playing with the same people since 2020, you know, since server 49 and before that server 48, because we're a merged server, you know, we posted these people for 5 years, you know, so we know where's the negativity, and we try and resolve all that. But like I said, the voice, like I can't go back. The same people in our leadership, D's, Spittin' Chicklets, RG, Billiam, guys that put on these voice chats every time we've got something new coming up, you know, territory reset. Hey, here's our plan. Go through everything, just including people, communicating with people, you know, driving that camaraderie, making sure that you're lifting people with information. Discord, whether that's, you know, hey, something's coming, an event's coming up, so save your stuff, or, you know, just someone sitting down watching one of your videos and dissecting it and saying, okay, these are the crews you need to use, without a guy that doesn't have time to sit there and watch a whole video, you know, go digest it.
And Stu, what about y'all? What do y'all do to make it fun?
Yeah, so for us, it's voice comms. You know, voice comms is always fantastic. We do, if anyone goes on voice in our Discord, it gets pretty busy, and the seeds kind of got planted, you know, a while back when we had a server merge, and people that we were at odds with, we created an incursions Discord, and we were like, hey, let's go on voice and you know, get to know each other. And you know, over time, enemies became friends, because you start talking to people, and it's not just a username of someone that shot you OPC a bunch of times and you hate this guy, and then when you actually start speaking to people on voice, it's like, hey, you know what, we kind of like a lot of the same stuff, and we've got the same sort of mentality on how we want to play the game and get the best from this game. And then it's like, hey, why don't you kind of come over and visit us and see how we play? You know, you realize because we're on the same mission, and to make it fun as well. Going back to like territory, we got a Commodore, the Jimmer, and he looks after our territory, and he will explain what we need. Please, refine this stuff, and then it's telling people why we need it. It's not just like a directive, like you must do this. It's like, hey, you want do this, and if you can refine this stuff, we get this, a damage enhancer, or we get something else that will help your ships, and it's for free, so we can do this, which is great. And again, going back to guys who don't have a lot of time to sit and go through the crew lists and stuff. We got a guy who started Sprite who spent hours and hours of his time creating like an encyclopedia on our Discord, gathering all this information that's out there with clickable links, so you can just search it. Now, I need a crew for this armada. Here it is. Here's all the content. And these are people that have just done this off their own back because they want to win too. So, by having these voice chats and get to know people in the server through them, we've been able to curate a team that wants the same things and genuinely wants to help each other, and that's been great, especially because we have all been playing together for a long time, so you kind of know who's good and who's not so good and who's going to fit and who's not going to fit. But there's been a few surprises as well where enemies have become friends, and the missions change from trying to shoot each other to trying to win global leaderboards or EU leaderboards, or trying to win the tournament. So but a lot of it is the voice comms and the engagement, hammering stuff in AC constantly, just because people don't always get time to check Discord, so but we've got players that are from many different countries as well that will jump in and start translating stuff to try and get that message across to people who don't speak the languages. So I'm truly blessed, and myself, Admiral Genway, and the Commodores, we are truly blessed to have such a great team. I'm honestly, I never imagined that it would get this far, to be honest.
I love it. And I've said a lot, it's because people, obviously we have very different play styles in the game between players. And I've told people before, I've made more friends from being the guy who OPC hunts and even in token space and stuff. Not because people don't get annoyed by those actions, because you just take the time to talk. Right now in 710, we're at war with an alliance called Wolf, but I was just talking to one of their highest level players. He's like, hey, I'm grinding for my Tribune. This is a server that's still locked at 50. And he's like, he's grinding for my Tribune. I'm like, okay, well, you're grinding in Mirror, right? He's like, no, why would I be grinding in Mirror? Well, let me tell you why. So now we can get you 15,000 faction credits a day by switching where you're grinding for purposely just hunting scouts to now getting it for hitting in Mirror Sharon. So if you take the time to actually, hey, sure, we might have conflict, but if you talk to people and just have that communication and avoid the toxicity, Zap was saying, because that there's going to be every server, there's going to be a group. But if you make a group for yourself that meshes well and you just talk to people, you're not making more friends than enemies. And I think kind of what you are saying, that's a big part of the fun and the environment you want to build, right? We even in my alliance have a morale officer. That's the Commodore's role. He's just the guy that cracks jokes, and he runs a lot of the armadas and waves, and he's more than happy to do it. And that just keeps everybody happy. He doesn't have to do anything else. He's not recruiting people. He's not dealing with row fallout and all that. That's literally his job because he loves it, and he wants to just have everybody in the alliance having a good time. I think every alliance should have something like that.
Yeah, we've got one guy that's been our comic relief ever since his alliance merged with Hawk 2-3 years ago, and I was just like, who's this guy? Why are you bringing him into my alliance? And then when we did this merger, I'm like, no, we got to bring Tiki with us. You'll understand once Tiki's here.
I'll say one thing I want to get from both of y'all, because I don't want this to go too long, although there's a ton of good information here, I believe. I want to get from each of you 3 big points, because I know, Stu, you've got a big PDF and 18 different languages of what y'all do. And I know, Zap, you got stuff. 3 big points. If you're talking to other alliance leaders, what are the 3 things that y'all say most important to get your alliance active, having fun, and participating in tournaments? We'll start with you, Stu, because I've been starting with Zap the entire time. So we'll flip it up. Stu, what are 3 big things? Now, we can also provide any resources you're welcome to. So if we want to give everybody, y'all's full documents, as long as y'all are okay with it, I'm happy to share it with everybody, and we could put that, a link to that. But give me 3 main things, and then if they want more, we'll give them more.
Okay, so the 3 main things for us is using STFC Pro. I mean, the guys over there are doing incredible work, and I don't think, amazing work. I don't think we have achieved would have been possible without that information and the work that's gone into that. That's allowed us to be able to see who hasn't scored. It's allowed us to see, who needs help. It allows us to see what the competition's up to and know where we need to push or put our foot on the gas. So that's incredible. Of course, Discord for us, we do continual uplinks on our Discord in multiple languages to try and get everybody. And then the other big one for us is the guides. So we did guides on how the tournament works. We've got that in multiple languages. We've got the task list, which has got how to do them all and what points they score. And then we've also got the hostile grind tasks. So some explanations on what you can do to do those grind tasks. And of course, then voice chats and trying to make it a fun environment. So get people on voice and hey, it's tournament. Post-tournament voice chat's always a good one as well, where people talk about what they did and what rewards they've got. So that's the sort of tools that we use.
And what about you, Zap? What's 3 big things for you?
Hey, and we're here talking about the Alliance tournament, but you can't start and go, okay, well, how do we get people to be involved in the Alliance tournament? And that's your starting block. You have to be tracking your guys, Mining Monday, Crucible of War, Faction Hunt. Look at, I know that I see you shrugging your shoulders, but if you're not out, mining's boring, but if you're not out mining something daily to complete your dailies, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how active are you? So
you're saying you're not just going to magically make somebody active. Like, you've got to create that atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's in case in point, and maybe after not this past tournament, but 2 tournaments ago, sat down and we had 10 guys that wanted to come in, that had been part of WIC, who we had merged with, part of our 3-way merger a year ago. And they said, hey, we want to join you. All 10 of us are active in every Alliance tournament. And we had sat down and go, well, this guy scored, but look at these other events that he's missing. One of his tools is just a spreadsheet. Look back over the last 5-6 events. How active has this person been? Have we reached out to them and they've said, oh, I'm in the hospital. Oh, dang, man. Okay, sorry. Or they don't respond. Or they go, oh, yeah, I'll get better about that. And then they don't. So track people for more than just the Alliance tournament. Look to see if they've got bits where they're not signed.
I think that's a big one. I want to add, just to piggyback on what you're saying, one thing that I have found working Alliance leadership in this game and every other game, if you really want more people to participate, Alliance tournaments or everything, get to know them, care about them. If they've got something going on, you need to know. That doesn't mean you need to be all up in their business, right? But, maybe somewhat, you never know. And I say it all the time on streams, there's a person behind the screen that you're talking to, which is, I usually am saying in the aspect of don't be toxic for no reason. Don't be a butthole. I mean, something could be happening, but you don't know. That person could be going through a divorce and, they're fighting over custody of their kids, or maybe they got a job promotion and now they're busier for the next month because of something. Taking just the time to ask how someone is and what they're doing goes so far for activity in an alliance.
Yeah. And the flip side of that is you have to have leadership that's ready to engage with people, when they're underperforming, when they're not performing, and we've got, again, I could sit here and rattle off names of guys that I'm blessed to be leadership with, because I'm like, these guys get it done. These guys make it happen, and when something's not working, find out why. It's not just that it's not working. Let's find out why. Okay, it's continuing not to work. And then there's that philosophy that comes in that at that point when it can't be fixed, their loyalty is to the team and not to this individual that they may have known for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so, for us, we work for the team, as a leadership team, we work for them. So we do everything we can to try and make it easier for them. And, in return, the team gives the success for everybody. And sharing that success is what keeps the team motivated here, whether it's incursions, or even any of the Alliance events, regional events, anything like that, or now with the tournaments, sharing that success and really shouting up about the achievements of everybody, no matter how big or small the contribution. Is a big key thing for us.
Yeah, celebrate the wins. I like that.
Yeah, and you can't. When someone talks about real life, celebrate those wins with them. Support
Yeah.
them when it's not a win. And I think that goes back to where I was saying about the two players we had that quit the day after the tournament ended. Is we cared about them, they decided to care about us in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I know
We got
that
a
one
great
word
community.
gets lost. It's easy, especially with Scopely run games and companies like them. I don't just target Scopely, but it can be really easy to forget this is a game. I know, heck, we're having a 30-minute conversation here about how we do better in an event thing that runs once a month, and we're on voice and everything, but it's still supposed to be a game. It's still supposed to be something that's fun, where we make friendships and engage with each other. So yeah, it's very important to remember that one word. It is still a game. You don't have to do what the game tells you to do. Build friendships, have fun, and do what's best for you.
Well, Rev, just a game is a bit of a sore point for us because they are our competition on the global leaderboard. But no, I'm just kidding. Big shout out for Irish Jag. Yeah, Jag were great, and they keep us sharp, And I want to give a big shout out to Irish Jag over there. When we've won, he's reached out and celebrated the victory, and when we've lost against those guys, we've reached out and congrats, and commiserations, and and that's one of the great things is that across the servers, across the regions, we have a great community here, and I think that's one of the things that keeps people playing is the community that we have. I don't log in to and get excited about doing all the events every day, but I do get excited about logging in and spending time with the friends that we've met along the way.
Yeah, and I've had that same conversation with my wife where she's like, "Oh, you look like you're ready to throw your phone with this game." Whether it's the lag, whether it's sitting there 30 minutes to collect a chest all the chests in the morning. She goes, "Why are you still doing this?" I'm like, "Because I've got 101 friends in this alliance. People that, again, 5 years worth of friendships, and all the people outside of my alliance that I've made friends with. And you talk about rivals congratulating you. We had that in tournament where we again had Orca from server 49, and I had people from there. We've been rivals, we've butted heads, we've gone to war, but here we were with positive congratulations on how we did.
Yeah, love it. So this has been a really good set, and I want to thank y'all both for sitting down with me to talk about tournaments. I think that there's enough information here I don't know if everybody can replicate what y'all are doing, but I think everybody can take from it and build better friendships, better communities for their alliance, and that should translate to better tournament performance. And if y'all are watching and have more questions, anything that you've seen on the screen, etc., well, hit me up and I can either connect you with Stoo and Zap, or I can just hit you up with some of the information they're more than happy to provide. And again, thank you both for jumping on here and talking, because as I said before we started, not everybody's willing to do that. Like, a lot of people want the information. They say, hey, that's a great idea. But then you say, okay, who's ready to get on here and talk to the people? And everybody's like, I don't know about that part.
Yeah. Well, we have that within our own alliance, where it's like, hey, that's a good idea. Okay, who's going to implement it?
Yeah, look, it only takes one person jumping up with a good idea, and whoever says it, that's usually all you need is that catalyst. Like I said, on 7.10, I love playing on newer servers. Obviously, I'm not trying to say server 20 is bad, but it's just 7.10's been like my love child lately. But season 7 of Territories came up, and I reached out to a couple of the alliance leaders with a new idea. Like, hey, look, territory, we know in STFC pretty much is boring, and it's been that way for a long time, even with the territory recycling services and stuff. But I was like, hey, we're going to do something new here in season 7, and we're going to do shooting for about once a month. We're going to get all the alliances to 3-star territory. We're going to pick one, so we'll rotate the alliance, and maybe it'll be Horde this month. And you have 3 sections in that. So we'll have G3, G4, G5, or G4, G5, G6, depending on the server. All players from those levels go there, and whoever wins, that's who dominated that month. It's going to give some, non-toxic PvP opportunity, but it also keeps everybody kind of like-minded. So you're going to have 6 different alliances, but it's only G4 players duking it out to see who can dominate that region. And then we'll figure out some prize system. Maybe we'll have, all the bigger players go leave their ships out OPC and mirror space, so you can just take all the loot from them, and that's how you pay out to the winning alliance. But I would encourage y'all, one thing I've been big on for a long time for those watching, remember Rialto Rumble? That was a player-led event before Scopely made it into a Scopely event. We've done races before, PvP events between, Discos and Vidars. That was players before it was Scopely. Not that I'm saying that they had a bad idea, but creating a lot of that stuff for yourself, that's putting the fun in the game for you. And even creating non-toxic PvP setups, so where you can okay, what crews are working here, right? We talk all the time, be nice to be able to hit purples because we know those people won't get mad, but we can actually test things out. Well, set up something like that. And again, finding what's fun for you and your group is the important thing here, and hopefully that's what y'all have taken. So we've already run a little bit long, but we'll catch you on the next one. And again, thank you two for joining in with me.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.